Simplified Chaos, episode 51.
Life is beautiful and full of chaos.
And it can get slightly out of hand if that shit's not tamed.
We're here to share how to simplify the little things to help you lead a more intentional life.
This is Simplified Chaos.
Hey, wonderful friends. Welcome to another amazing episode of Simplified Chaos. This is Jillian, one of your hosts, and I'm with my co-host and husband, Nicholas.
What's going on, folks? As Jill said, we do have another amazing episode here for you today. Jilly, what are we diving into after you take a sip of that hot toddy right there?
It's making me feel real warm and
real
cozy.
Warm and cozy.
And Hygge.
Yeah.
Hygge.
I wonder what episode we talked about that in. I know we did. It had to have been sometime in July.
Traveling with kids, the Copenhagen one.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know which one that was.
I know, way back in July.
I love that word.
Yeah. Well, now we're getting close to the end of December here and coming up on the 1 year of this podcast, which will be December 28th is when we recorded it and released it. So we're coming up on 1 year. But anyways, Jilly, what are we talking about today?
Our episode today is all about our break from parenting. We kind of took a
siesta,
a little second honeymoon, and we did not have Lucille. We were gone for 4 glorious days and 3 nights.
3 nights.
And we're going to share our reflections from that trip.
I like reflecting on things.
A lot of growth happening.
Yes, definitely. From not only us, but our daughter as well. So we can't wait to share that with you. But before we dive into that, as always, we're going to show a little gratitude. So, Jilly, what are you grateful for this fine week?
Today, I'm grateful for my kids, meaning my students.
That's what I thought you were going with that. We only have one.
I keep calling them my kids, even though I already have like a kid that came from my uterus.
Yes.
So something happened today that just kind of reminded me of why I wanted to teach the way I'm teaching now, which is a lot different.
I haven't even heard this, so I'm intrigued.
So today they had a substitute in art, and it was another teacher in the building, and she doesn't really know my students that well.
Okay.
So, they went to art, and then I came in to pick them up after art, and she was making comments about how my students don't know how to sit properly. And she pointed at one of my kids, and they were half on the chair, half off, their leg was diagonal. And I was just thinking to myself,
why is that bothering you?
That's awesome. My kids just constantly remind me that I don't want them to be uniform. I don't want them to know how to sit properly. I'm I'd rather them know how to move than sit.
Yeah.
And I just kind of was like, oh, okay. All right, let's go, guys. And we kind of went on our way, but it just kind of, they constantly are reminding me of, I don't know, the way I want to teach.
Yeah.
And how different it is from how we were taught. And that I'm constantly going to hear those comments for a while because teaching was always done that way. You learn how to sit, you learn how to raise your hand, you learn how to be quiet, and you learn how to not be opinionated. And it's just funny how I just see it on a whole nother light now. I want my students to be opinionated. I want them to move. I want them to do what they think is right for them because they are the expert of themselves. Even if they are small, I think we sometimes underestimate kids.
Yeah.
But it's they're doing what's comfortable for them. So why would I stifle that? And,
exactly.
But anyway, so that happened, and it just was a nice reminder of this is why I'm teaching the way I am, and it's not uniform, and it's not what everyone else is doing, but I'm really on board with it, and I know it's what's best for kids because I can see it every day.
You gotta harness the good and block the bad.
Yeah, and it's weird bad. Trying to not to negate what they're saying or just say I don't teach that way. It's just okay, that's their opinion, that's the way they see teaching, and I'm okay with it, and it's just not my cup of tea anymore.
I hear you.
Not my hot toddy anymore.
Not your hot toddy. And you missed my Happy Gilmore quote there.
Oh no, what did you say?
Harness the good, block the bad.
Oh.
Harness good, block bad.
Oh, I forgot
good
that
old
part.
Kevin Nealon. One of the most underrated parts of that movie.
Oops. That's probably why I don't know that quote. It's not one of the ones that I've known.
Oh, goodness. I also just listened to a podcast today called The Rewatchables, where they just talk about movies and how good they are and everything like that. So That's why it was on the top of my head. So like when you were thinking about it, I was like, yeah, this is exactly what you're doing. You're harnessing the good and blocking the bad.
Is that your gratitude segment? Or is that
No.
okay?
I'm chiming in on yours.
I know, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm grateful for the rewatchable. No. I mean, I am, but that's not what I'm grateful for today. I am grateful for my parents who made a nice trek out here today to help us out and watch Lucille when we went to work because my mother-in-law, your mom, is taking a well-deserved break and heading up to one of our favorite places to go to, especially this time of the year, which is Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So they made the trek very early this morning, got out here, had a great day with Lucille, got some bonding time in with her, and it sounds like they had a long ride home this evening as well. The Chesapeake Bay Bridge, which is having some construction, and not to mention it's pretty foggy this evening, was backed up a little bit, so it added probably an extra hour to their commute. So I'm very, 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 very grateful that they made it out here today and helped us out. Got to spend some time with Lucille, but more importantly, just made it through that traffic. I know it's not easy, so
I second that.
very grateful for you guys. So Thank you
Absolutely.
so much. All right, Jilly.
Yeah.
Let's talk about getting away from the little kid for a little bit.
So before I kind of start sharing the reflections that I have, and then you can kind of add in, if you agree or
I disagree.
if you're
Jill.
like, no,
You're full of shit.
I found 2 quotes to kind of prime this
You love your
episode.
quotes.
I do.
Yeah.
So
Prime it up, baby.
I think this kind of, I don't know, culminates what this episode is, and this probably would be a good quote for the end, but I really wanted to kind of set the tone. So I found the first quote. It's, "Can you remember who you were before the world told you who you should be?"
I like that.
And
I've never really thought of it like that.
it makes me think about being a parent. Like sometimes I think we forget who we were before we were a parent or before people told us what we should be doing. And I think just taking a break from parenting just kind of helps us rediscover that. Almost
Yeah.
that inner kid, you're so innocent and you have such great curiosities and you just really know what you want as a kid. And then when you become adult, it just gets a little hazy because you have so many people telling you what you should do and how to do it. And
expectations.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And I think you can apply this quote for a lot of different things. You know,
Yeah.
you can to different aspects of your life. You can apply it to jobs. You can apply it to marriage. You can apply it to kids. And it's a good way to kind of set a barometer for, where you thought you'd be and where you're actually at. And are you doing things the way that you imagine? And, if it isn't the way you imagine, is it better than what you imagine? Or if it's not as good as you imagine, how can you change it to get better?
yeah, so, and I think we're going to cover that when we talk about some of the reflections we've had. And
Yeah.
Another quote is, "Parenthood is the one all-consuming, all-amazing, all-exhausting journey. And we are the only people who can really control how we handle it."
Yeah.
I think, parenthood is all of the good and all of the craziness and all of the hardships, but we're the only ones who know how to handle it. And
Yeah.
I think it's up to us to take it in control of, I guess, like what we did. We took a break and we were like, let's reconnect. Let's get some space from Lucille and let's make it okay to do it and not feel guilty.
Yeah. We're more in control of our lives than what we think. And, it's really just coming up with a plan and putting into action. And you can do anything. Being a parent shouldn't be limiting. And I don't feel like it's limiting. Yes, are we doing things differently than when we didn't have a kid? Sure. You have to make adjustments. Our life revolves around her now. And that's totally fine. Like,
Not everything. I think we.
But I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Our responsibility is to make sure that she's
absolutely.
well taken. So that
Yes, we
consumes
need
a
to
lot
keep
of
her
what we have to
alive.
do. Yeah, I didn't mean that every square thing that we do revolves around her, but we have a human being that we're taking care of now and
Crazy.
growing, and it's still crazy. It's still hard to believe, but I think we're doing a great job. And
I'm going to pat you on the back.
oh yeah,
Good job, honey.
same with you. I'll give you a reward after this podcast.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So Where was I going with this? But yeah, I think, I really forgot where I was going with this. I patting myself on the back here. Anyways, go for it, Jilly. I'm going to stop now.
That's okay. So we took it upon ourselves to control what we were going to do.
Yes, that's where I was going with this.
Yes. Did you need to add on anything else?
Go ahead.
Okay.
You picked up where I left off.
We decided to kind of take a break from parenting and have like a little second honeymoon. And we went to Charleston, South Carolina for
yes, we did
4 glorious days and 3 seductive nights.
They were very seductive. Some mornings were seductive as well.
And yes, they were. Not much of that happening when we're at home, but it was kind of nice doing it.
Well, the mornings, the evenings were still. Evenings are still.
No, I mean mornings. After morning 8 sex
o'clock, we're good.
Just doesn't happen lately. It just hasn't. But yeah, it's weird. I think before this podcast, we would go on trips and we'd go on vacations, and I would just do it and be like, "That was awesome." Where are we going next? But I find that now, since we're questioning everything and thinking about the purpose of things we're bringing in our life, I really had a lot of time to reflect on things that I appreciate and things that I'm learning. And being away actually helped me just be still and just have time to just think about what I want to change and what I'm appreciating about my life. And I don't know, I found it very easy to jot down all of these notes on my phone when we were away about everything I was learning as soon as we got on the plane and as soon as we got to where our destination was. And it's crazy how I never was like that before. I never took the time to think and process my life and what it looks like and where I want to go. It was just like, I'm on vacation, let's have fun. Then we come back and then it's like back into the monotony of, work and doing that and just kind of going and doing and not really being and thinking about anything. I don't know about you, but If
I look back on it, when we were on vacation, we had a lot of great conversations, and we talked about growth, we talked about parenting, we talked about a lot of things, we talked about this podcast and the future of that. So I mean, it was great for us to have that time where we can actually sit there and reflect together, without really any distractions except for good food and cocktails and coffee, but that's not a distraction. Actually, that helps us think a little bit better.
Yes.
But we had some amazing conversations. We have some really great ideas for this podcast. We have great ideas for traveling this year. We have great ideas for being a better family together. We talked about everything. I mean, we had, like you said, we had 4 days together to talk about, the things that are important to us. And yes, we enjoyed the sights and we took in everything, but we had great conversations during our meals. So I think that was probably the top thing that I got out of our trip was, us being able to reflect.
And I didn't really categorize these, but the first reflection I had was just on, it's like simple things, like just on our wardrobe and how we pack. And we used to take our own suitcases and fill them to the brim, at least I did, and now we took one bag.
We took one Under Armour bag, basically a gym bag.
It's like a duffel
for
bag
4 days. Yeah, it's a duffel bag. It's a little bit bigger, but not crazy big. It's probably standard gym bag size.
Yeah,
we fit all of our clothes. You had an extra pair of shoes just for walking, toiletries, whatever, what have you, phone chargers, and there was still room in there. And we still had some room.
It just made me realize just how much extra shit I would carry around with me. And it was like, now it's like we got it down to, we know what we need and we don't have to have all of these things just in case.
Yeah. And I'm perfectly comfortable wearing the same thing a couple times on a trip.
Yeah, and we were re-wearing, I was re-wearing t-shirts at least twice and pants at least 3 times, and we were okay. And it actually made me feel better knowing that I didn't have all of these choices to choose from when we went out. It was like, no, these are the only 2 pants I brought, and these are the only 3 shirts I brought with me, and it just made our vacation that much more at ease.
And I'm glad we did this as well, because we did Airbnb and we got to Charleston a little bit early before our check-in time, about 4 hours early. So we had to walk around with the bag before we could check in. And then once we checked out, we still had a full day ahead of us. So we had to carry the bag with us again after we checked out of our Airbnb on our last day because we had a later flight out. We wanted to make the most of the time that we had down there. So I'm glad we packed light. It made it a lot easier for us to carry that one bag around.
I agree. Another reflection I had is just how damn appreciative I am of the ability to walk. Because when, like, I know we walk at home and we do everything we do, we walk to get there. But just being on vacation, like, that is one of my most favorite things to do, is just to explore by foot.
Yes.
And it was just so fucking rad to be able to just walk all over Charleston with our two glorious legs and just appreciate that we have that ability to just explore by foot and do that. And just, you know, just keeps me grounded in knowing that, damn, we're really fortunate that we can do that.
Yeah, and we did a lot of walking too because we were on like the northern side of where like everything is. So we were kind of at the top and had to work our way all the way down if we wanted to see as far down in Charleston as you can get. So we did definitely our fair share of walking, and I'm really glad that we didn't rent a car while we were down there. We did the Uber from the airport back and forth from there, and then there was this one area where we needed to Uber to that we wanted to eat at, which I'm glad we did because it was some of the best food that we had while we were in Charleston.
Yes.
But other than that, I mean, we were all on foot the entire trip.
We were, and I think that's something else that I've noticed has changed with our vacations, that I think that we're more okay with slowing things down. Whereas before, if we were going to a place, I'd want to try and get as much stuff as possible.
Cram it all in, yeah.
Because I was like, I don't know when I'm coming back. Let me try and do it all. And I had this vision like, oh, I wanted to go hiking here and I wanted to do this and go there. And then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? It'd be really cool if we didn't have to rent a car and we could just really, really explore everything by foot.
And damn it if we didn't see everything in Charleston.
I know.
There's so many restaurants that we still didn't get to, and I'd love to go again, but I mean, we did get to see a lot while we were down there, and even if we couldn't go to all the restaurants we wanted to, or places of interest, we'll be back down there again. Like,
yes.
That's definitely a destination that we will return to because it's cheap to get down there. It's not cheap in Charleston, but it's cheap to get down there.
Yeah.
And I'm attracted. If I love places, I'm definitely
and that's
willing to go back to them.
Another thing, I think we were able to see and do a lot, but at the same time, we still made space to just like sit on park benches and look at the lake or look at the water or just hang out at a coffee shop and just chill for a little bit and not feel like, okay, we got our coffee, let's go. We could just sit and chill and enjoy the vibe that was there.
Square,
yeah.
Down at the college.
I love how we go on trips now. It's just instead of doing, it's just appreciating what's around us and just taking our time with it and just really soaking it in instead of just trying to do it all.
And we don't go down with like strict plans either. Like it was like we found out that if you and for anybody who is going to Charleston, if you find a restaurant that you want to go to, make a reservation well in advance. Don't wait until the week before you travel because chances are you're probably not going to get a reservation or your reservation is going to be at a very ridiculous time. So we didn't go in, and we do this with a lot of vacations where we may pick out one or two things that we absolutely want to do, but everything else is kind of, we plan it out, we see how we feel in the morning, and then we go for it.
Yeah. So something else I had was just, at least for me, the importance of having our vacations similar to our routines at home and then tweaking it with little indulgences here and there, not completely going, we're just doing whatever I'm doing whatever I want, eating whatever I want just because I'm on vacation. Like I find that I don't thrive that way because most of the time if I eat like that or drink like that, it's just, I feel miserable and I want to feel really good when I'm away too. So that way I'm healthy and I can enjoy all that, that specific environment has to offer. So I find that sticking to my normal routine when I go away, like eating good food, making sure I'm walking, making sure I'm getting outside. And then maybe we go to 2 coffee shops a day. Maybe we have more than 2 croissants a day. Like just tweaking in those little sweet indulgences that make vacation a little extra special. But I really am a creature of habit and I thrive that way. So I'm okay going to the same restaurant, which we did a couple times for breakfast because I knew that they served vegetables in the morning. And I was like, this is amazing.
Basic kitchen.
Yes. It's just rare when you go to a place and get breakfast that they are going to serve some greens. And that's what I do every morning. I'm either having greens in my smoothie or I'm having sauteed greens on the weekend. So we found a place and I was like, Nick, we're going back here
That
because
breakfast was ridiculous.
their lemony kale and their spinach and
Cauliflower grits.
yes,
Holy shit.
it was divine.
I mean, it sounds like, all right, but holy crap. If I would have closed my eyes, would have thought I was eating a grit. Seriously. So good. And then I had a burger for breakfast the next day, which was fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, that basic kitchen in Charleston, nice work.
Yes.
Thumbs up.
And something else I had a reflection on, I think before traveling, I'd always would feel pressure to buy souvenirs or to bring something back. Like I want to show that I'm caring and that I'm going away and that I care about other people, that I'm thinking of them. But really it was like, I think we're just trained to do that. Mm-hmm. We were trained as kids when we went away that we had to bring something back. But really it's like, if I don't see anything that speaks to me that says, yes, this is so special, I need to get it for that person, it's like, I'm not going to buy it.
Right.
So I feel really freed knowing that I don't have to bring something back. And I think I bought one thing there and I bought it for me. I bought a hat and that was it.
I had to buy new shoes because mine were blistering my feet because like I had mentioned in previous episodes, I buy shoes like every 3 to 4 years. Well, I'm reaching that mark and I was really the first day of walking in. Like I said, we did a lot of walking. I was getting blisters on my feet. So luckily it was a weekend where they do have sales. And, I talk about where I try to scout out things. If I need it, I'll buy it on sale at that point. Well, I needed shoes. Sperry, thank you so much for your nice, comfortable shoes because that got me through the weekend. And I'll have them for 4 years until I wear these things out. Yeah.
And I know some people like really enjoy buying gifts for people and bringing it home, but that's just not me. Like I feel like a load has been lifted knowing that I am not forced or I have to buy something, bring something back. And like our family is used to it by now. And, if we do bring something back, it's probably a piece of food or something to drink, but nothing really spoke to us out there. And we could just enjoy our time out there and just come back. And it was cool.
By the way, I'd had the store manager at Sperry throw away my shoes that I was wearing. So I replaced a wardrobe item and got rid of the other one. Why are you laughing?
I'm glad that the store manager could throw away your old shoes.
I was like, can you throw these
the
out?
1 in, 1 out rule.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
There you go.
I'm proud of you. It's
There
clicking.
go.
It's clicking.
Just like, man.
This hot toddy's getting to me.
Yeah. So yes, in with the new, out with the old.
So another reflection I had, one of the days it rained. And I think before you start, I think before I go on vacation, I'd probably look at the weather. And if it was raining, I would automatically see it as, this day is miserable. This day stinks. It's raining. What are we going to do? But really, the situation was that it rained. It just so happened the Ravens were playing that day. Yeah. And we were forced, quote unquote, to kind of be in our little bungalow, and you watched the game, and I did watch some of it, but it forced us to slow down. And that's actually when I was able to write a lot of reflections for this podcast episode and think about our trip, was when we were inside and just kind of snuggled in there and just, trying to wait out the rain a little bit. I think there's a purpose for everything, and thank you for the rain. It forced us to slow down, and I could reflect on the trip and take some notes for the podcast, and it was really awesome.
And I could watch the Ravens beat the 49ers. And wouldn't you know it, after the Ravens were victorious, the sun came out in Charleston, and we were able to continue our journey. Mm-hmm. It worked out perfectly. If I couldn't have planned it any better myself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, another reflection.
Do it.
I miss Lucille.
Oh my God, terribly.
But I was okay, and I was having a ball. Mm-hmm. No guilt. It was really awesome having a vacation away from Lucille, and I'm sure Lucille was excited to have a vacation away from us.
Yeah.
I think we all needed it, And it was okay.
It was.
I think getting past the first day.
I was going to say the drop off was a little rough just because usually she does not cry when we leave, but it was a different kind of leaving. It wasn't us leaving the house. It was us getting out of the car and leaving her in the car with your mom. And that was a little bit different for her. So, she cried when we were leaving. And then I know, like, you had a little moment in the security line, which is fine. But, at that point, we had the flight. We got into Charleston. I think for me is like when we started walking around and exploring together, I got the feeling is like, hey, this is stuff that you and I used to do together. This is fun that we're able to do this again. Of course, still missing her, but we realized, hey, this is okay.
Yeah, like I'd see a park.
We'll be home soon.
I'd see a park and be like, Lucille would love this park, but it would make me happy just thinking about it. And like, we're gonna come back here and we're gonna bring Lucille, and we kind of scouted it out before we bring her, which was kind of cool. Like, we'll survey the land and then we'll bring the babe, and we're like, we know where to take you now, Lucille.
Yeah. All this is just laying down the tracks here, just surveying the land before bringing the child.
And let's see, another reflection I had was just the power of being able to connect with other couples.
Yeah. So we had some
really
friends
nice.
come down from Charlotte to meet us, and usually we go down to their place over Labor Day weekend. And this year, your sister was expecting her first child over Labor Day weekend, which it didn't happen until about a week and a half later, which was fine. But, it was nice to, we had thought about doing Charleston for a while, and I think I asked you, I was like, hey, should we invite our friends down to, meet us? They're only about a 3.5 hour drive. At least just put it out there and see if they want to hang out. And you're like, yeah, that's a really great idea. Let's go ahead and do that. And you're like, I was thinking that myself. So I reached out to them and they're like, heck yeah. And it was great. We got a chance to catch up with them and explore Charleston together. They had been down there before, so they could show us a couple things, but it was great.
It was, and it's, they're parents too, and they have 2 kids, and it's really interesting and cool to hear different perspectives on parenting and, how they see it and what they're doing, and just to kind of, at least for me, to kind of connect. I connected with Katie just about motherhood and just the highs and lows, and just kind of being honest and open about it, but not complaining, and just knowing that I'm not alone in some of the things that were happening. And it was just really nice just to have that conversation and to kind of hear what their life was going on with the kids and how they're dealing and doing things that matter to them. And it was just really fun hearing just different ways of living.
Yes, absolutely. And always great catching up with friends that we've had for such a long time, and, seeing how they're growing and how we're growing. And really it's one of those situations where they're such good friends that, we could spend some time apart and we just pick right back up where we left off as soon as we see them. So wonderful seeing you guys.
The next one I had, I think you kind of touched on, is just really kind of having loose plans.
Yeah.
I feel like I was very much a planner before Lucille came. And then when Lucille came, it was like the less plans, the better, because I don't know how Lucille's going to be. I don't know if she's going to be napping. So it's nice to kind of play it by ear. So in Charleston, we're kind of carrying that on. Even though we didn't have Lucille with us, it was really nice, just kind of figuring out what do we want to do today and what restaurant do we want to go to. And, at the last minute, we're like, hey, let's do a carriage tour ride.
Yeah, last day,
and
let's do this.
It's just really nice just kind of going with how we feel that day, because it's kind of interesting when you think about all the plans you make. It's like you don't really know what you're going to feel like doing that day. We're predicting what we might want to do, but it's nice knowing that we don't feel forced to do something, and our plans aren't rigid. They ebb and flow with how we're feeling, and it just really makes for a relaxing trip, at least in my perspective.
Yeah, I really feel like the trip to Copenhagen with Lucille kind of really helped us with that, and we realized that, hey, we don't have to plan every single aspect of our trip. We can go with the flow, and because we took a last minute carriage ride, we probably saw parts of the city that we wouldn't have seen if we were just walking around, and it forced us to go back to those parts. Like, we found a really great coffee shop because of that carriage ride. We found a really cool lake that we can walk around because of the carriage ride. So, it was nice being able to do things spontaneously as well. but not being so rigid in our scheduling that we were driving each other crazy trying to get from one spot to another.
Yeah, I think before I was afraid of, dead space or time that wasn't spent
Filled,
doing
yeah.
something. And now we're just kind of like, let's stroll around.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go to this coffee shop and sit there for an hour because we don't have anything else planned. And
Yeah.
we can kind of like figure out what do we want to do next and go from there. And we're okay with the space. Whereas before, I think space kind of scared me.
Yeah.
So I have two more.
Okay.
I think we also learned that we really don't need that much space to feel cozy and comfortable. Like the little bungalow we lived in,
Yeah. Probably the size of our bedroom.
it was not that big. And not that we're moving or doing anything anytime soon with our home, but it just made me feel that, we don't need to have a shit ton of square footage to have a good time or to feel at home. Like that place was so comfy and cozy, and it was not that big, and it had a kitchen, a washer and a dryer, and it had a shower. And it's just like, we don't need all the fancy amenities, the next latest thing. It just made me, I kind of confirmed that we'd be okay if we ever had to downsize
Yeah.
to, that it would be really okay.
It'd be very easy for us to do that.
It would.
Yeah.
Okay, my last reflection. So we canceled Netflix at home,
We did.
but there they had Netflix.
They had Netflix.
So we watched the Chappelle Show, the second stand-up, right? Or is that the third?
His latest stand-up.
His latest stand-up.
Because he's had this is his fifth on there now.
And it was really interesting because we canceled Netflix and because they had it. It was like a special treat.
It was a treat. It was like, oh my goodness,
yeah,
we can watch anything we want to.
It was like, it wasn't our norm anymore. So the fact that we had it, it was like, oh, this is so special. And it was so cool that we had that feeling, when before it was like, we can watch Netflix anytime we want. But now it's like, we don't have it, it just made it that much sweeter. So
It did.
I
Good
guess
reflection, Jilly. I like that one. I didn't even think about that, but that was great.
it was. It was like, this is really cool. Like, we get to watch Netflix. And I don't know. I just thought it was interesting how we got rid of it, but it makes it that much more special. Kind of like vacations when you don't see it all the time or do something all the time, it just makes it a little bit more a treat. And Netflix was definitely a treat when we were away.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic, and that was the only thing we watched on Netflix. Once we watched it, for the most part, we were out I wouldn't say pretty late, but we were out basically right up until the time we normally go to bed. But there was one night where we were in a little bit earlier, and you're like, yeah, let's throw on the flicks. Just check it out.
Yep.
Awesome. So yeah, it was a great trip. We had a wonderful time. We had a lot of reflections, as you guys can tell. But no, we are looking forward to the next one. But in the meantime, we're here for Lucille, and we're happy to be in her presence.
And if anyone out there has ever taken a little vacation, if they have kids away from them, we would love to hear your experience with that. What
Absolutely.
It was like the first time maybe, or what it's like now, how much you're digging it. Because I'm sure every parent is most likely enjoying their time away.
Absolutely.
At least we are.
Oh, definitely. All right, Jilly. So what are we doing? Take action? Resources. Man, I get these things all screwed up.
It's all right.
Resources, Jilly.
We'll get there, hon.
What we got?
So I'm just going to read a little blurb from it, but it's a blog post. It's actually it's a single mom and son travel blog, which is really interesting.
That is interesting.
And it's called Reflections of Travel. And I'm just going to read it because it kind of has to do with our reflections on our trip. Travel provides countless opportunities in terms of growth, introspection, and connection to ourselves and the world around us. Because travel demands that the traveler becomes acutely present, the external experiences oftentimes mirror our internal state of mind. The experiences we have through travel often provide an opportunity to unveil naked reflections of ourselves, if only we take the time to notice. Only not everyone perceives travel as the same opportunity to look inward, as many become fixated with the outer experiences only. Yes, life provides lessons, opportunities for growth, and there's so much to be gained through these reflections. So why is travel any different from ordinary life? Because through travel, you're provided with an opportunity to be acutely present, silent at times, aware at others, wide-eyed, amazed, in joy, and light. Travel is simply one door to experiencing yourself.
I think that summarizes it up really well.
I agree.
Yeah. Good
So anyway,
resource, Jilly.
We will put that link in the show notes.
Definitely. All right.
You ready for
now let's get into that quote of the day. Haha. Jilly.
Become an expert at spending time, not money, on what matters most.
Oh, yeah. Time's your most valuable commodity.
I think so. Some may not, but to me, I think it is.
Yeah.
You can't get it back. You
it's
can
hard
get
to
money
argue.
back.
It's hard to.
You
of
can't
course.
get time back.
Absolutely.
Not unless you know someone who has a DeLorean.
Well,
And
I don't know what that is. I'm sure it's a Back to the Future thing.
And you've
which I've
never
seen
seen
that
it.
movie, but it
Epic
sounds
fail,
Back to
Nick.
the Future. And you had a smirk on your face like he's not going to know what this is.
You're not.
Yeah. All right. And finally, your Take Action Challenge.
The next time you go on a trip or travel, just look inward and just think, like, what are you learning from your trip?
Yeah.
What are you learning about yourself? How are you pivoting and growing from the lessons you're learning?
I dig it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I think so.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us again this week. We're quickly approaching our 1 year anniversary. Really excited about that.
But is it our 1 year anniversary?
Yeah. For the podcast.
I know you're saying 1 year a lot, so I was like, is it?
It is.
Is it our 1 year anniversary?
Drink your hot toddy.
Okie dokie.
It's not hot anymore. Anyways, again, thank you all for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give us some feedback. Let us know what your favorite parts of the episode were, or take a screenshot and share it on social media. Like Jill mentioned earlier, we'd love to hear about your experiences from getting away or reflecting on your vacations. And we will be back at it again next week.
Sure will.
All right. See you later, folks.
See you later, guys.
We want to thank everybody for listening today. Please be sure to subscribe and sign up to receive notifications so you know when the next episode is live. If you like today's episode and know someone who could benefit from the topic we covered, please share it with them. And if you have any suggestions for us or want to chime in on today's topic, you can email us at simplifiedchaospodcast@gmail.com, and that's chaos with a K, or send us a comment on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Thanks again for listening, and we will see you next time.